Imagine waking up as a newborn baby, but with the complete memories of being the king of curses. Every massacre, every battle, every moment of terror you inflicted across 1,000 years, all contained within an infant's mind. This isn't just a thought experiment. In the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, where reincarnation and cursed techniques blur the lines between life and death, this scenario reveals something terrifying about Sukuna's nature and the very foundation of Jujutsu society. Because if Sukuna retained his memories in a new life, the question isn't whether he'd become powerful again. It's whether anyone could stop what he'd become. Today, we're exploring one of the most fascinating what-if scenarios in Jujutsu Kaisen. What happens when you combine Sukuna's ancient knowledge, his understanding of cursed energy at its deepest level, and the opportunity to start fresh in the modern era? This isn't just about power scaling. This is about understanding what makes Sukuna truly dangerous and why his existence challenges everything Jujutsu sorcerers believe about curses, humanity, and the cycle of reincarnation itself. By the end, you'll understand why this scenario might be more possible than you think, and what it means for the future of the Jujutsu world. Let's start with the mechanics. In Jujutsu Kaisen, we know that cursed objects can preserve consciousness across time. Sukuna's fingers maintained his will for over a millennium. But true reincarnation with intact memories is different. It's what happened with the death painting wombs. It's the principle behind Kenjaku's technique, and it's the foundation of how cursed spirits reform from collective human fear. Sukuna himself has demonstrated an unusual relationship with his own existence. He's not just a cursed spirit. He was human once, a sorcerer of the Heian Era who transcended death by transforming himself into a cursed object. His understanding of the boundary between human and curse is intimate and personal. Now picture this. A child is born in modern Japan with Sukuna's complete consciousness. Not possessed, not a vessel, but genuinely reincarnated. From the moment of awareness, this child would possess knowledge that predates modern jujutsu by centuries. He'd remember the Heian Era when jujutsu was at its peak, when sorcerers were gods among men, and when he stood above them all. But here's what makes this scenario truly dangerous. Unlike his resurrection through Yuji, this Sukuna would have time. Years to plan, to adapt, to understand this new world before revealing himself. Consider what Sukuna knows. He remembers binding vows at a level that makes modern sorcerers look like children playing with matches. His understanding of cursed technique construction is so profound that he could recreate his own abilities from scratch, potentially even improve them with modern knowledge. He knows the true names and natures of cursed spirits that have existed across centuries. He understands barrier techniques that have been lost to time. And most critically, he remembers exactly how he dominated the golden age of sorcery. Every weakness he exploited, every sorcerer he defeated, every technique he encountered. That's not just knowledge. That's a complete strategic database of jujutsu warfare. But the psychological implications are even more fascinating. Sukuna's personality is defined by boredom and the search for entertainment in strength. He's seen everything, done everything, killed everyone worth killing in his era. Reincarnation with memories intact doesn't reset that. If anything, it compounds it. This reborn Sukuna would be an ancient consciousness, trapped in a developing body, watching the modern world with eyes that have seen civilizations rise and fall. The patience required would be maddening for anyone else. But Sukuna has always played the long game. He divided his soul into 20 fingers and waited 1,000 years. What's another decade or two? Here's where it gets truly terrifying. A reborn Sukuna wouldn't make the same mistakes. In his original life, he accumulated power through overwhelming force and reputation. But he'd seen how Kenjaku operates, planning across centuries, manipulating from the shadows. This new Sukuna could combine both approaches. Imagine him growing up in Jujutsu society, perhaps even attending Tokyo or Kyoto Jujutsu High. He'd be surrounded by the descendants and inheritors of the very sorcerer families he once knew. The Gojo clan, the Zenin, the Kamo. He'd understand their techniques intimately because he fought their ancestors. He could befriend them, study them, wait for the perfect moment. His cursed technique would be the giveaway, except it wouldn't have to be. Sukuna's shrine technique, cleave and dismantle, are devastating but also distinctive. A reborn Sukuna with full awareness could potentially suppress his innate technique, develop a different cursed technique first, or even create a completely new application of his abilities that wouldn't be recognized. We know from Kashimo's backstory that some sorcerers are reincarnated with their techniques, but we also know that cursed techniques can evolve, change, or be hidden. Yuki Tsukumo researched the nature of cursed energy itself. Sukuna would have that same curiosity multiplied by centuries of experience. Think about his potential growth curve. Normal sorcerers spend years understanding cursed energy flow, learning to maintain techniques, developing domain expansion. Sukuna would breeze through all of it. The moment his childhood body could handle the output, he'd be performing techniques that take masters decades to learn. By his teenage years, he could potentially surpass special-grade sorcerers. But he wouldn't, because revealing that kind of prodigious talent would draw attention. The smart play would be to appear merely talented, perhaps gifted, but not impossibly so. He'd study the Six Eyes, understand how Satoru Gojo became the strongest, analyze the weaknesses in modern Jujutsu society that didn't exist in his era. The strategic advantages are overwhelming. Modern Jujutsu has standardized, become institutionalized. There are rules, hierarchies, politics. Sukuna remembers a time when sorcery was chaotic, personal, and innovation happened through survival rather than curriculum. He'd see the weaknesses immediately. The over-reliance on inherited techniques. The gap between special grades and everyone else. The way modern sorcerers have lost certain fundamental understandings about cursed energy that the Heian Era took for granted. He could exploit all of it. But perhaps the most disturbing aspect is what this says about Sukuna's true nature. If he could be reborn with his memories and chose to grow powerful again, to once again become the king of curses, it proves something fundamental. His evil isn't circumstantial. It's not a product of his era or his circumstances. It's intrinsic to who he is. A being who, given infinite chances and infinite time, would always choose domination, always choose destruction, always choose to stand above and apart from humanity. That's not a curse born from human fear. That's something deeper, something that challenges Yuji's entire philosophy about the value of life and death. Now let's talk about what this means for the future of the series. We know reincarnation is possible. We've seen it with the culling game players. Kenjaku's entire plan revolves around manipulating souls and bodies across time. The precedent exists, and Sukuna himself made that binding vow with Yuji, the one we still don't fully understand. What if part of his long-term strategy involves ensuring his consciousness persists beyond his current incarnation? What if he's been preparing for this possibility all along? The Sukuna we know is playing a game that extends beyond the current conflict. He divided himself once before. Who's to say he won't do it again, in a different way? Consider also what Gege Akutami has established about the nature of cursed spirits and reincarnation. Curses reform because the fear that created them persists. But Sukuna was human first. His cursed form is something he chose, something he created through Jujutsu. If his consciousness could survive in cursed objects for a millennium, why couldn't it survive the death of Megumi's body? Why couldn't it find a new vessel, a new life, especially if he'd prepared for that possibility? The mechanics are all there. The foreshadowing exists in how casually he discusses the nature of souls and bodies. This brings us to the truly unsettling conclusion. Maybe this isn't a what-if scenario at all. Maybe this is the endgame Sukuna has been planning since the moment he woke up in Yuji's body. Every action, every binding vow, every seemingly impulsive decision could be part of a larger strategy to ensure his existence persists, no matter what happens in the current conflict. He's not fighting to win this battle. He's fighting to ensure there will always be another battle, another era, another chance to experience the entertainment only true strength can provide, because that's what makes Sukuna unique among antagonists. He's not trying to destroy the world or remake it in his image. He just wants to ensure the game never ends. So what if Sukuna was reborn with all his memories? The answer is simple and terrifying. He'd be unstoppable not because of his power, but because of his patience. He'd be the perfect predator hiding among prey that doesn't even know they're being hunted. And by the time anyone realized what he was, it would already be far too late. The King of Curses doesn't need a throne. He just needs time. And in reincarnation, time is the one resource that never runs out. That's the real horror of Sukuna. Not what he is, but what he could become again and again, eternally, across every age of humanity. The question isn't whether Jujutsu Society could stop a reborn Sukuna. It's whether they'd even recognize him before he decided to reveal himself. And knowing Sukuna, he'd wait until that revelation would cause the most exquisite chaos possible.